Okay, today we're talking about arrays and multiplication. We're going to be doing pages 211 and 212 together, and you have this available to you in Class Dojo. And then you will do page 213 in your independent practice in Class Dojo. So looking at page 211, so if you look up here at the top, it tells you an array. You don't need to draw this arrow, I'm just showing you where I am. An array is a group of objects arranged in equal numbered rows and equal numbered columns. Arrays can help you multiply. So let's read our word problem first without the numbers and without the question, and then we'll go back, reread with the numbers, and then with the numbers and the question. So you can read it aloud with me if you feel comfortable doing that. Okay, so Mrs. Roberts baked a batch of bagels. Sounds like a tongue twister, doesn't it? She arranged the bagels in some equal rows of some bagels each on the cooling rack. So now in your imagination, put in a cooling rack and put some bagels on there, put them in equal rows. Make sure that you have some rows and that each row has the same number of bagels in it. Okay, now let's adjust our picture by reading the numbers. Here we go. Mrs. Roberts baked a batch of bagels. She arranged the bagels in 3 equal rows of 4 bagels each on the cooling rack. Okay, now in your imagination, now only put 3 rows of 4 bagels. Okay, let's see what we're supposed to do with those numbers. Mrs. Roberts baked a batch of bagels. She arranged the bagels in 3 equal rows of 4 bagels each on the cooling rack. How many bagels did she bake? So we want to know the total number of bagels. And that's what it tells us in the next part. Find the total number of bagels. Use counters to model the array. You can do this if you want. You can use pennies or peanuts, or you can use your Legos or whatever. But then we're going to draw the array. Okay, so when we draw arrays, we know we draw horizontal lines to show the number of rows. So we have 3 equal rows. So I'm going to do 1, 2, 3 horizontal lines. And since bagels are round, I'm going to go ahead and draw 4 circles on each line. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So now I'm going to fill in this sentence here, blank rows of blank. Okay, so I know I have 1, 2, 3 rows because I drew 3 lines, and I know that I have 4 in each row because I put 4 circles on each line. What I need to know is the unknown. So there's a couple ways I can do this. Yes, I could count up all the bagels. I could also use repeated addition, and I can multiply. So let's do that. So first of all, let's go ahead. I want you to see the connection between the repeated addition and the array. So in the first row in my array, I have 1, 2, 3, 4 bagels. And in this row, I have 1, 2, 3, 4 bagels. Write the 4s at the end of your rows. 1, 2, 3, 4. You don't need the dots. That's just so you can see that I'm counting them. Okay, so 4, 4, and 4. So I add those up to get my total. So I'm going to put 4 plus 4 plus 4. And if I count up all the bagels, I can count that there are 12. I can also say 4 plus 4 is 8, and 4 more is 12. So that's my addition sentence. Now, I can do a multiplication sentence. I have 3 rows. 1, 2, 3 rows of 4 in each row, which equals 12. Okay? I can also look at it like this. If you look at my 4s in my addition number sentence, I have 1, 2, 3 4s, and that's what I have here. 3 4s equals 12. So 3 rows of 4 is 12, or 3 times, because the time sign says rows of, 4 is 12. The unknown is 12. Mrs. Roberts baked 12 bagels. Okay, you're going to pause your video here and go to page 212 and turn the video back on when you are ready to start. Okay, so one page of Elsa's photo album is shown. We need to write 2 multiplication sentences to find how many photos are on the page. So the first array is drawn just like the photos on her page. So let's go ahead and count the rows. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 rows. And you can see here, there's 1, 2, 3, 4 rows. I have 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2 in each row. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. So I have 4 rows with 2 in each row, and if I count those up, that's a total of 8 pictures. Now, if you remember last week, we turned our paper sideways. You can't turn your paper sideways without turning your computer sideways, but what I did do was I snipped this array out of, oops, hold on, from the picture so that we would have it right here. I hid it for a little while. So now we have this sideways array. We turned it on its side. So let's count the rows. We have 1, 2 rows. Here you have 1, 2 rows. How many in each row? 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. How about over here? 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So I have 2 rows of 4, but I still have 8. I have the exact same pictures. I just turn them sideways. So 4 rows of 2 is 8. 2 rows of 4 is 8. Okay, so this is called commutative property. It's also called the old switcheroo. Okay, so the commutative property of multiplication says the order in which numbers are multiplied does not change the product. So if you look in this one, the 4 is first, the 4 is the first factor. Here, 2 is the second factor. Here, 2 is the first factor, 4 is the second factor, but I still have the product of 8. That's why it's called the old switcheroo. So I went, oops, okay, I didn't do that. So I went like this. I had 4 and 2, and then I had 2 and 4, and I just switched their positions. The old switcheroo. Okay, mathematicians call it commutative property of multiplication. 3rd graders call it the old switcheroo. Okay, you are going to do the first problem in your guided practice. You're going to pause the video, and then you're going to come back to me and see if you got the answer right. I'm going to help you with number 1 a little bit because it is an array. It's just unusual, so it looks weird. So here are your rows, and you have items in each row. So do your repeated addition and your multiplication. Pause the video. Okay, so you have 2 rows. You have 1 in each row. You have 1 and 1. So here you have 1 plus 1 for a total of 2. Okay, I have 2 rows, 1, 2. Let me do that with blue so you can see what I'm counting. So I have 1, 2 rows with 1 in each row for a total of 2 counters. 1 plus 1 is 2, and 2 times 1 is 2. Okay, do the array on number 2, do your repeated addition and your multiplication. Pause the video. Okay, so I'm going to count my rows. I have 1, 2 rows. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 in each row. So the first row has 7, second row has 7. If I count them all up, I have 14 total. How many rows do I have? I already said I have 1, 2 rows with 7 in each row for a total of 14. Okay, for your independent practice, you are going to do page 213. You have 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. You have arrays. You're going to write the repeated addition with the total and the multiplication with the total. Look back at your other pages if you're having trouble with it. Down here, you're going to do the commutative property of multiplication to find the missing number. So you're doing the old switcheroo. Okay, here I have a 2 in this one and a 2 here. I've got 5 here. What do you think goes there? The total is 10. If the answer is the same, then the total for this one should be what? Okay, this one's really tricky, the next one. Here I have 5 in this one. I don't have a 5 down here. I have a 3 in this one. I don't have a 3 there, but I do have 15s for my total. Okay, and number 11, I have a 3 in this one and a 3 in this one. I have a 9 in this one. I don't have a 9 in this one. And this one says it's equal to 27. I wonder if that one is too. Okay, Hope drew the array at the right. Write a multiplication sentence to represent the model. So you're just going to write a multiplication sentence that shows how many rows of the numbers in each row, the items in each row for the total. Okay, and that's what you have to do today for math.